Hi, I'm Judy Sheehan, and welcome to Artscape. Coming up on today's show, we'll be speaking with a watercolor artist and a paper artist. And of course, we'll see Craig Weinsack with his latest movie reviews. So stay tuned, because Artscape will be right back.
Check out the new hit movies you can order on demand, and look what you can order right now. You saw something. See something unlike anything you've ever seen before. King Kong, now on demand.
A story like mine has never been told.
From Rob Marshall, the acclaimed director of Chicago.
Now it's time.
Memoirs of a Geisha, Adelphia, on demand. Get, watch, do what you want.
Hi, I'm Judy Sheehan, and welcome back to Artscape. My first guest today is Roxanne Shields, and she is a watercolorist. Roxanne, thank you so much for coming today and being a guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right, now let's start right off from the beginning. How did it all happen for you, Roxanne? How did you get involved in art? Did you always love it as a child, or how did it happen?
Yes, I always liked to draw when I was a child. I used to draw the classic tree with the hole in it, you know, and the squirrel going up it.
Right,
and I wasn't very good, and I went to art school. I went to St. Mary's College in Maryland, in Southern Maryland, and I got a BA in painting and drawing.
Oh, okay, so you followed that passion all the way.
Yes.
Good for you.
I traveled a lot with my father. He was a Marine, and one of the places we lived was Athens, Greece, and of course there's a lot of art there and culture, and I really, that was where I made my decision to study art.
Oh, because it was so beautiful, and those surroundings really inspired you.
Yes.
Oh, that is wonderful. That's wonderful. And what do you love about being an artist? What is it for you that you love?
Well, I like sitting and painting and the way time passes, and it's peaceful and relaxing.
Okay. All right, well, I can't wait to see your work, and let's get right into it. Tell us about the very first piece that you've brought here today, Roxanne. This is lovely.
This is Irises from My Backyard. That's the title of this painting. And these happen to be blooming again now this year, so I'm ready to go out and paint another one.
They are lovely. Now, what do you like about watercolor? What is it about watercolor that really draws you?
I like the texture and the way it especially with painting decorative flowers, I like to use watercolor. I do paint it with acrylic, but watercolor is my favorite.
And why? What do you like that over the acrylic?
I like the way the water goes on the paper, and then I put the color down, and the way it spreads through to create the flower petals and the foliage. And I enjoy doing the big backgrounds with a lot of water and let the water flow through the back.
There's such a nice softness, a soft effect that you can get with the watercolor. I love that. That's one thing I love about the watercolor.
I enjoy composing the pictures too.
Do you now? I was just going to ask you that.
The way
how do you compose your pictures?
Well, with this one, the elements, the flowers are across the higher end of the top of the painting.
Yes, they are.
They're not like right in the middle where it's like boring.
Right, that's very unusual, because exactly that. Usually when people paint flowers, they are lower with the background, and this is really nice how you came up with this composition, that they really reach almost right up to the top.
And you kind of, your eye goes from like left to right, like you're reading it, but there's a little up and down motion with the flowers, so it's not boring.
Oh, it's so lovely.
Thank you.
And did this take you quite a while? How do you work, Roxanne? Do you work outside, inside?
I drew this outside, and I probably took it in and painted indoors. And I let areas dry real good before I paint an adjacent area that's touching it. So, because otherwise the watercolor bleeds really, it gets out of control.
So you almost take sections at a time?
Yeah,
Is that
I'll
what
do
you
one petal and then paint where I haven't painted yet, because if it's wet, it will spread, unless that's the effect that I want.
Okay, yeah, so that is another difficult aspect with the watercolor, exactly that you do have to be careful because it does bleed so easily.
Yes.
And it's just lovely. And how did you come up with this composition? Was it something about the tallness of the flowers that you wanted to capture, or the way you put it down?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. Mm-hmm. The height, they're so tall.
They are so tall and they're so lovely.
Thank you.
And it's just great to see because spring is here and we're waiting for that patiently, and it's a beautiful composition. All right, now let's go to your next one, Roxanne. I'm seeing a theme here. You have the flowers and now you're outside. So is there something about nature that you love to paint?
I have been painting decorative flowers and country genre, such as like barns and cowboy boots and things like that, ponies. And a lot of West Virginia landmarks, particularly because people tend to buy the landmarks. They enjoy having those. A lot of churches in West Virginia.
Okay, so that's what really gets your juices flowing when you're outside.
Yeah.
All right, now tell us about this lovely, lovely artwork.
This is titled Grandpa's Farm, and that's my grandfather's farm in Kentucky.
Wow.
And again, I used to put the barn way up high, and I really like the little detail with the horse in that one barn. It's a decorative element in there. But mainly the field at the bottom is really popping and exciting. It's not, it brings your eye around.
It really does. Again, another unusual composition, Roxanne, that I really love. You have the flowers pretty tall, too, in that foreground. Really lovely. Now, how long does something like this take?
Well, it usually depends on how quickly it dries. Like I'll work the bottom area and let it dry and then go in, or I'll work up at the top where it's not wet. Again, it's that control thing. A lot of people have trouble with watercolor. They think that it's hard, but it's just because it's very wet.
Right, right. It is so lovely. It is so lovely.
Well, thank you.
And you do have a very nice, when you're looking at it, for me, I don't know, it's saying to me, it's very peaceful, very serene. I'm getting that through that. Are there any statements that you like to make, Roxanne, when you're painting, or feelings that you like to evoke? Or
It's decorative. I think I like to paint things that are that represent American, that decorate the American home, like country home.
American country home. Well, I can see why. This is just beautiful. This is lovely. And when you work, how do you work? Do you use a pencil, or?
I sketch it out. I sketch out the big picture first, and then I'll usually start with the greens, the trees, and the grass, and then the color. The color depends on how it goes on the color wheel. Like I need to have some contrast there, so I use color. Like here we have the bluish greens, and then the orange hay going across kind of divides that space up. So red and blue are opposite on the color wheel. So I have to take that into consideration too, as part of the overall design.
It is just beautiful. Just beautiful.
Thanks.
And now let's see your last piece of artwork. And again, a beautiful country scene. Love this. Tell us about this, Roxanne.
This is a footbridge in Harpers Ferry on the Shenandoah Canal. And I had a show coming up in Harpers Ferry, so I decided to do some landmarks in Harpers Ferry. and where I could sell them at this craft show. And so this is one of 3 of Harpers Ferry that I did. And so I took some photographs, and this is worked from a photograph because it was, I think it was in the fall or early spring, and it was cool. It was quite cool. Actually, it was the fall.
And I love that this little footbridge. You really, really very rarely see those anymore today, you know? And that is really evokes, like you said, that whole country feeling. And oh, it is lovely.
Thank you.
Now, is it more difficult to work from a photograph, or do you like being outside, or does it matter?
I enjoy being outside, but it has its challenges, you know, with the insects and the wind blowing everywhere.
I can imagine.
So I usually work. I work in a bedroom in my home. I've turned it into a studio.
It is just beautiful. And speaking of those shows, you were saying, I want to make sure that everybody knows you have 3 shows coming up. One in Ranson City, West Virginia, May 20th. The Fairmont, West Virginia, May 27th. And the Mountain Heritage Festival in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia, June 9, 10, and 11. And if anybody likes, and I'm sure they love seeing this artwork, or would like more information about Roxanne's upcoming shows, she has a website, www.uscountrywildflowers.com. And I think it's just so wonderful, Roxanne. Your work really reflects, like you said, that Americana country feel, and it's just lovely.
Thank you.
Just lovely. So if you have any tips or advice for any of those would-be artists out there?
Oh, just keep trying. Keep trying. Don't give up, and don't let the water. Don't let it get out of hand. You know, with the water bleeding everywhere, just let it dry.
Let it dry. Have patience.
Patience. Yes, exactly.
All right. All right. Well, I think it's wonderful, Roxanne, and I want to thank you for everything, and our viewers will be able to see, you know, once this is up, your website and your upcoming shows. And thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
All right, and stay tuned because Artscape will be right back.